This is the only video you need to watch if you want to learn how to make a rusty nail cocktail at home. My name is Ron Verpin. I'm a full-time medical doctor, and I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now. During that time, I've learned how to make over 100 different cocktails, and I've thrown over 50 cocktail parties, and I teach other busy professionals how to make cocktails at home. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the rusty nail cocktail. Now, the rusty nail is a classic cocktail dating back to the first half of the 1900s. The exact origins are somewhat unclear. It's thought to have been invented sometime in the 1930s, and then really popularity took off about mid-century when it became mainly more popular due to this bar called the 21 Club in New York City. And the reason it has extra special meaning to me actually is because by the time of the 1960s with the Rat Pack, it became their go-to drink. And I'm actually from Las Vegas. I consider it my hometown. And the Rat Pack has a very special association with this town. You know, Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, these guys. So because this drink was one of their go-to drinks, definitely during that time of their heyday, and it's such a big part of Las Vegas history, which is the town that I call my hometown. That's why it has extra special meaning for me, and I'm excited to be bringing this drink to you guys. And this drink is actually rather simple. It's a stirred cocktail, and it contains just these two ingredients. As one of my friends likes to say, this drink just contains scotch and more scotch, basically. So the two ingredients exactly are going to be a blended scotch and then Drambuie. And for those of you who are not as familiar with Drambuie, it's basically a type of scotch, and it's sort of a mix between a scotch and a liqueur, because it's not just a straight up scotch, but it also has heather honey and certain herbs and spices. And that blend of herbs and spices and honey and everything is actually proprietary to the brand Drambuie. So really, there is no substitution. But fortunately, at least in the United States, Drambuie is readily available at pretty much every liquor store throughout the country. And I'm sure that's true in other parts of the Western world, like Europe, Canada, and Australia as well. There is no substitution, but like I said, this is pretty readily available, at least in the United States and other parts of the Western world. So go with the Drambuie. And then for the scotch, there are a number of different options you can use. I always recommend for cocktails, especially when you're mixing it with other ingredients, even if it's just one other ingredient, go ahead and use a blended scotch. And the blended scotch that has been my go-to blended scotch since 2021, so since late 2021, so nearly 4 years now, is going to be Monkey Shoulder. And like Drambuie, this is pretty readily available, at least throughout the United States, and I'm sure it's available in other parts of the Western world and maybe certain other parts of the world as well. So this is a rather unique or unusual cocktail because it actually just contains two ingredients. And really the point of contention with the Rusty Nail is what exact ratio you're going to be using of blended scotch to Drambuie. And there are a number of different ratios that you can use. The one that I've used ever since I first learned this cocktail a couple years ago, and the one that I still use to this day and recommend to other people, is 2-to-1. So that's going to be 2 parts blended scotch, and then 2 parts blended scotch, and then 1 part of Drambuie. This sort of finds that sweet spot. Whereas if you go 1-to-1, the drink is going to be too sweet, in my opinion, because the Drambuie is the sweet component. And then if you go something like 3-to-1 or 4-to-1, then it's going to be too dry. So 2-to-1 is really where you get that great balance of sweet to dry in terms of the cocktail that you're going to be making. And it also helps with the actual measurements of the ingredients, because 2-to-1 is not just the ratio, it's actually the recipe itself. So this drink is going to call for 2 ounces of blended scotch and then 1 ounce of Drambuie. And just a disclaimer, that is somewhat of a pretty strong drink, because these are, like I said, this is scotch and more scotch basically. So that's going to be a strong drink with 3 ounces. So you can also cut that down to just do 1.5 and then 0.75. Or you can do 1 and 0.5. So you can alter the exact measurements to suit your needs, but the way I make it is going to be 2 ounces of blended scotch and then 1 ounce of Drambuie. That just makes it a lot easier, and I find that that's usually the right amount of alcohol to put into a cocktail. Just want to make you guys aware of that this drink is going to call for 3 ounces in total of these 2 ingredients. So let's go ahead and start making the drink. Because the drink only contains alcohol and no dairy, no egg, no citrus, and no sweetener, there's going to be no need for shaking the cocktail. So this is going to be a stirred drink. We're going to build it directly into the glass. So let's go ahead and start with our ice. I have the big cubes here. So go ahead and put that in there. And like I said, this drink is going to call for 2 ounces of blended scotch with the Monkey Shoulder that I have here. So you can go ahead and pour that straight into the glass. And then it's going to call for 1 ounce of the Drambuie. So now we have the ingredients and the ice in the glass. Go ahead and take your stirring spoon and stir it down to temperature. And as is true for all stirred drinks, you want to stir this until you start to feel some chill on the edge of the glass. And the easiest way to do this for home bartenders, for all stirred cocktails, I don't like to serve any specific ones up or down. I like to serve them all on ice, just because it's way easier to make it. So just go ahead and stir it down to temperature. And it's going to be sitting on ice, so it'll get more chilled and more diluted with time anyway. I would say it's good right about there. And there you have it, the rusty nail. Cheers. So anyway, if you guys, that's all I have for today's video. If you found the advice and the tutorial in this video helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I really like to do 2 types of videos on this channel. One will be like this style where I do a tutorial showing you guys how to make a specific cocktail. And then the second style of video will be where I do more general advice, tips and tricks, and share stories from my own journey that I hope will help you guys become better home bartenders. Thank you. Cheers.